Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to talk about the next section. This is a new unit. This is unit number 7, and this is going to be in section 5.4. So we're going to study the law of sines. You may have already covered this in Algebra 2, but we need to cover this again for this year's curriculum. So we're looking at section 5.4, and here's some notes that you should probably take note before we start the section. It's make sure your calculator is in degrees. So switch over from radians to degrees. Okay, this is a new unit, and the standard we'll be looking at for this material is PC.G.4 and PC.G.5. Okay, note that we will be using 3 decimal places, so we'll be using the calculator fairly often in this section. Okay, so the big picture here for the law of sines is we're going to have to solve triangles. That means we're probably be given 3 characteristics, and you have to look for the remaining 3. So that means you'll be given 2 angles or a side, and you have to look for the 2 other sides and an angle. Okay, so here are some basics on solving triangles. So when we draw a triangle, it doesn't have to be in this particular order. But just to use this as an example, the angles and the sides, the relationship is that the angle is right across from the side, or the side is right across the angle. That means angle B, the side is right across. Angle C, it's right across. I like to use draw a line through my C just to signify I'm looking for an angle and not make a distinction between an angle and a side. Okay, so sides lowercase, angles are uppercase. Sides are right across from the angle. So in case, make sure you go like this. Okay, so when we talk about law of sines and cosines when solving triangles, we usually call them based on the information that's given. In that case, A represents angles, S represents sides. So the order which they're given in matters. So make sure you pay attention to that. Okay, so in that case number 1, angle, side, angle. That means the side is a sandwich between the 2 angles. In that case, angle and a side and angle. Case number 2, you have side, angle, angle. So you start with a side and you have an angle and an angle. So the big picture here is it's consecutive. Okay, it's back to back. So in that case, the next one, case number 3 is side, side, angle. So you're given a side, and you're given an angle. Okay, again, it doesn't always have to be in this situation. It all depends how you draw your triangle. Next one here is the side, angle, side. So in that case, an angle is sandwiched between 2 sides. So it's side, an angle, and then a side. Last one is side, side, side. So in that case, you'd be given like the side, side, and then the side. Okay. So those are the type of triangles we'll be dealing with. And in this particular situation, law of sines, we'll be dealing with case number 1, case number 2, and case number 3. Okay. So the law of sines is given that sine of A, angle, over the side is equal to sine of angle B over side B equals sine of C, angle C, over side C. So when we deal with law of sines, we'll be looking at, when we solve for it, make sure you draw your triangle first. Okay, that's going to give you a big idea of where to start and how you should proceed forward. Because like I mentioned, law of sines will be given details about 3 things. In that case, either an angle, and a side and an angle, or a side and 2 angles, or 2 sides and an angle. Okay, those are the 3 different situations. So for today's class, we'll be talking about case number 1 and case number 2. So where does it apply? Angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle, angle, and side, side, angle. Okay. We'll talk about side, side, angle on Tuesday, but today we're going to look at angle, side, angle, and side, angle, angle. Okay. So the first example I'm going to talk about here is the one we took from your textbook on page 428. Okay, we're given an angle, and a side. So in that case, drawing this up, we end up with angle. So in that case, 36. Okay, right across is A, which is 8. So make sure you draw your triangle correct. Okay, if you mess up the first time you draw this, make sure you fix it before you proceed, because if you don't fix it, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Okay, so here we have angle, and side. So in that case, what we don't know, I'm going to use red. So in that case, we don't know what C is, angle C, or side C. In that case, we don't know what side B is equal to either. So the first thing you should do is establish the relationship. So we know angle A, which is 36, and then side A, which is 8, and then we draw this out. Make sure you have things you need to look for. Okay, so in that case, we're given two sides, two angles, and we're looking for the third angle. Okay, so from geometry we talked about, no, not me, but from your geometry class we know that the triangles have an interior sum of 180 degrees. So that means if its side angle is 36 and side B, angle B is 48, that means C is going to be 180 minus A minus B, which is what we have over here. So 180 minus A minus B is going to give us 96 degrees. So make sure you write your degree sign because I don't want you to mess up between an angle and a side. Okay, so the most common thing here, just by looking at this question, we have just by reading it, we have side, angle, angle, side. Or sides, angle, angle. Doesn't matter. Whichever way it is, it's going to be consistent. Okay, so in that case, first thing we have to solve for is, we're going to have to look for what B is, and look for C. Because we already know angle C is 96. So what I like to start off with is, I always want to use something I already know that's given. In that case, we won't mess up as much. Okay, so we use angle 36, which is A over A. We have this, and we're looking for what B is. So in this situation, we're looking what B is. So in that case, we're looking at these two. So in that case, sine of 36 over 8 is equal to sine of 48 over B. So we're all looking just at a ratio. So solving for B, we have move the B up, move the 8 up, and move the sine of 36 down. We end up with B is equal to 8 sine of 48 degrees divided by sine of 36 degrees. Okay, so putting this in your calculator, make sure it's in degrees, you end up with 10.115. That means my side B here is equal to 10.115. Okay. Now we know what B is. Now we know what angle C is. We have to look for what C is. Okay, side C. So by rearranging the equation, we have looking at this one and this one. So the ratio again maintains a particular number because the ratio is always going to be consistent. So we use sine of 36 degrees divided by 8 is equal to sine of 96, which we found in step number 1. And then we have to look for what side C. So by rearranging, move the C up, move the 8 up, move the sine 36 down, you end up with C is equal to 8 sine of 96 degrees divided by sine of 36 degrees. So putting in your calculator gives me 13.536. Okay, remember, we want to deal with 3 decimal places, so make sure you are careful with that. Okay, so the next 2 examples are not from your book, because the textbook only provides you with this one. I'm going to provide you with 2 extra ones so you can get the hang of what we're doing here. Okay. So in that case, we have A is 35 degrees, given. Angle B is 15 degrees, again, given. And C, the side C is equal to 5. So you're drawing a triangle, first step. Make sure it's set up right. So remember, angle, side, angle. So this is an ASA question. So what we don't know is side B, side A, and angle C. Okay, so in that case, we set up the relationship. We have sine of 35 divided by A is equal to sine of 15 divided by B, and sine of angle C divided by 5. Okay, so again, step number 1, find the missing angle. So 180 degrees minus A minus B gives me angle C. Okay, my C here in this situation ends up with 130 degrees. So again, we start off with something we try and use something we already know. So in that case, we know C for sure is correct. So we use C and use this part to find what A and B are. In that case, we have sine of 130 degrees divided by 5 is equal to, let's solve for A first. So sine of 35 divided by A. So let's again move my A up, move my sine of 130 degrees down, move my 5 up. So A in this situation is this. So putting in your calculator gives me 3.744, and that's my side A. Okay. And then for step number 3, we have to solve for what B is. That's the last variable we need to figure out. So in that case, sine of 130 degrees, using these 2 relationships, divided by 5 is equal to sine of 15 degrees divided by B. So rearranging here gives me B is equal to 5 sine of 15 degrees divided by sine of 130 degrees, and putting it in the calculator gives 1.689. Okay. So make sure when you go through through law of sines, you have all your variables figured out. So in case we know what A is 3.744. We know what B is 1.689, and then we know what angle C is. C is equal to 130 degrees. Okay, that means we have completed these two questions. Okay, next question here, another example. Now again, not from your textbook. We have A is equal to 40 degrees, B is equal to 6 degrees, side A is equal to 4. So drawing a triangle, you should end up with something like this. Again, doesn't really matter how you draw it, as long as it's consistent. Okay? So again, we have angle, angle, side. Okay, angle, angle, side, or side, angle, angle, doesn't matter, same thing. Okay, so in this case, the relationship we established here is sine of 40 degrees is divided by 4, again, right across. Okay, make sure it's right across, set it up right. And then sine of 60 degrees over B, and sine of C, angle C, divided by side C. So again, interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So in case C, in this case, is equal to 180 minus 40 minus 60, which gives me 80 degrees. Okay. Number 2, step number 2, we need to find what B is. So in that case, we're going to use use these two relationships to find what B is. Okay, so sine of 40 degrees divided by 4 is equal to sine of 60 divided by B. In that case, rewriting gives me B is equal to 4 sine of 60 degrees divided by sine of 40 degrees, which is equal to 5.389. Okay, so that's what B is. And then step number 3, look for my C. Again, see, we don't know what C is. So sine of 40 degrees divided by 4. So using these two ratios, we know that angle C is equal to 80 degrees. So by rearranging C on top and everything over there, we have C is equal to 4 sine of 80 degrees divided by sine of 40 degrees, which is 6.128. Okay. So that is a summary of what we're going to be covering today. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the proof. Your proof is going to be covered in PC.G.4. So make sure you look at the next one. Make sure you familiarize yourself with what we're doing. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.